to get our weekend jump-started at the 51st Fest for Beatles fans.
Yep, it's a celebration of all things Beatles with music and memorabilia, and we are live from the fest talking with the founder, Mike Lapidus. Sorry, Mark. Good morning.
Lapidus.
This has been, I'm like, that didn't sound right. All right, I know this fest has been in Chicago
Start
since...
over.
It's been in the fest has been in Chicago since the late 1970s, right?
1977 was our first one. We've done. This is our 49th show coming up this weekend in Chicago.
I know it's a popular one.
Fans are coming from all over the country.
Yeah.
Why did you originally want to start this fest?
I've always been a hardcore Beatles fan, and I thought somebody should do something to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Beatles' arrival in America, 1974. So I thought of this idea of a Beatles fan convention, Beatle Fest. And I actually got to meet with John Lennon and told him all about the idea in early '74. And he said, I'm all for it, I'm a Beatles fan too. And just like that, the world changed for us.
You know what is so interesting? My
he
husband
almost showed up at the first one.
Which would have been amazing. Oh my goodness. My husband is a huge...
It was. He changed his mind.
He did? Why? Why did he change his mind?
I don't know, but he was all set to come down on Sunday night to pick the winner of the guitar that he signed for the charity raffle.
So what I was saying, Mark, was my husband is a huge Beatles fan, and you know, we are of a certain age, right? The Beatles, you know, they first were on the scene 60 years ago plus now. What would you attribute to the enduring popularity of the Beatles over all these decades?
It comes down to the music. John even said it once, the music was the thing. The music was the greatest music ever recorded, ever written, and they did it all in 6 years. They wrote this 212 songs they recorded, and 60 years later, they're on all the radio stations. And actually 56 years ago today, they were trying to figure out what to do for the cover of Abbey Road, and they said, should we go to Mount Everest? Should we go to the Sahara Desert? And I think Ringo said, why don't we just walk across the street? Simple as that. So they got up and walked across the street. The most iconic album cover of all time. No sign of the name of the album, no name Beatles. You didn't need that. The entire planet knows who these guys are. And they're the most popular people ever to walk the face of the earth, in my opinion.
Yeah. Mark,
at least in recorded history.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you for bringing Beatles Fest to us once again. We will be joining you all morning long as we go through our streaming shows as well. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Great. We start tonight at 5 o'clock and run the whole weekend. Okay. Thank you, Marissa.
We will.
You have a good day.
Bye-bye. We will talk, and we'll talk to you a little later. Thank you, Mark.
7:45 on your Friday morning. Welcome back. We are jump-starting your weekend at the 51st Fest for Beatles fans. It's a celebration of all things Beatles with music and memorabilia. Joining us now is Chris O'Dell, former secretary to the Beatles and Apple Records. So, Chris, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jackie. How are you?
Well, I'm doing really well. I understand that you were actually on the rooftop of the Beatles' final concert, or listening to the Beatles' final concert. What year did that happen, and how the heck did you end up being able to be in the space where that happened?
Well, that is a very good question. Actually, as employees, we weren't allowed on the roof because the roof wasn't that sturdy. But a cameraman, bless his heart, said, come up, you're helping me. And I went up, so I was one of 4 people that were the audience.
Wow, wow.
So that was Yoko, Maureen, Ken Mansfield, myself.
What do you remember about that concert, that moment?
Well, it was very cold, and I think anyone who you ask will say the same thing. It was January in London. So it was just bitterly cold. But it was also, I mean, I'd seen the Beatles and they were these tiny little people in Dodger Stadium, and here they were like real normal sized people playing right in front of me.
That's amazing. Chris, I understand that George Harrison actually wrote a song about you. Is that true? And can you tell me which song it is?
Yes, thanks for asking. Yeah, bless his heart. He wrote a song called Miss Odell, which is the name of my book, the name of my documentary, and it's on my license, my car license plate.
Oh my God.
So I've definitely used it. Yeah, he wrote it while he was waiting for me to come visit him at the beach in Malibu, and I just kept not showing up. So basically, that got a song for me.
Wow. Chris, I could talk to you all day, and I want to learn so much more, but really quick, what do you think is the enduring legacy of the Beatles? I mean, the fact that there's a Beatles Fest, and there has been since the 70s, is already a testament to their popularity, their enduring popularity.
It's amazing. I would have never known, but they deserve it. I mean, they were the best thing that happened in my generation, for sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully it will go on and on.
Chris O'Dell, thank you for joining us this morning. Again, I could talk to you forever, but unfortunately we're out of time. Thank you so much, and have fun at Beatles Fest this weekend.
Well, for you Beatles fans out there, imagine going on a spiritual journey to India with one of the most popular bands in the world. Here now is Jenny Boyd, joining us from Beatle Fest in Rosemont. And Jenny, first of all, good morning to you. And just for those maybe youngins who might not know, you at one time were George Harrison's sister-in-law, right?
That's true.
Which gives you an amazing insight for so many reasons into, this band. But tell us about your trip to India with the Beatles when you were 19 years old. How did you end up going on it?
Well, I had just come back from San Francisco, and while I was there for 6 months, flower power broke out. And so I was on my own spiritual search. And then when I got back, I stayed with Patty and George for a little while, and they said, oh, come, we're going to listen to Maharishi. He was speaking at a hotel. And then we all went to Wales together and got our mantras. And then George and Patty said, how about you come to India with us? So, of course, I was so excited. And I remember saying to George, how can I ever thank you? And he said, just be yourself.
Oh, that's amazing. And
so I wrote a book about it, about just being yourself.
That's fascinating. I mean, how did that experience change you? And then from your perspective, how did it change George and his fellow Beatles?
For me, I would say meditation was what I'd been looking for while taking LSD or smoking pot. I found it in meditation, and I think everybody felt the same. I think with the Beatles, George was obviously the one who wanted everybody to go, and then John got very involved in it as well. And we would all sit on the balcony of our bungalow, and I would watch them say, either John would say, well, I couldn't sleep last night, and then a song would come from that, or Dear Prudence was because of Mia Farrow's sister Prudence was not getting on very well. And I would watch all these songs that were always something to do with what was going on in the ashram. I can't remember how many songs, but they all went onto the White Album.
Just fascinating. And I know, this was a quick interview, and we so appreciate you being with us this morning, but tell us again the name of your book, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who would really be interested in reading more about your life.
This book is called Jennifer Juniper, The Journey Beyond the Muse. And it's called Jennifer Juniper because Donovan wrote the song for me.
Wow. I mean, just you were literally along for that historical musical ride. It's so fascinating. Jenny Boyd, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Beatles fans to come together for the annual Fest for Beatles fans.
I see what you did there, yeah. Now in its 51st year, it is the longest running celebration of Beatles music and memorabilia. Joining us now is Simon Kirke, a drummer for the band Bad Company and is participating in the fest as a special guest. Simon, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Jackie and Dana. Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you. Okay, you have a rock and roll journey of your own. I mean, my gosh, going back, what, at least 50 years. So what's it like to be part of the fest for Beatles fans?
Well, it's an honor because if it wasn't for the Beatles, I wouldn't be here. I mean, they were my #1 influence in England. And I think if you asked any musician in my era, you know, my generation, everyone would say that the Beatles was one of their inspirations. And the fact that here we are in 2025, over 60 years later, and there are still thousands of people flocking to this event and enjoying it, all these multi-generations still digging the Beatles' music. It's amazing. So I'm very honored to be here and very pleased.
Simon, I'm curious if you remember when you first heard Beatles music or the music of the Beatles, because you have talked about how they inspired you so much.
Wow. Well, it was way back before the internet, as I'm sure you're aware.
I think so.
I was brought up in I was brought up in England on the border of Wales, and I had a little tiny transistor radio about the size of a packet of packet of cigarettes, and I had a little earpiece, and the very first thing I heard from the Beatles was "I Want to Hold Your Hand," and I thought, who is this? This is unbelievable. That was back in late '63. I was 14. And it just transformed me, and then, you know, they just sort of took off. And once they went to America, I believe they went over just after the assassination of Kennedy in late '64. Once they went to America, we knew we'd lost them. England had lost the Beatles, and they changed the world. They really did change the world as we know it.
Hence Beatlemania.
But I think that Beatlemania, yeah.
Yep. I was going to ask you, Simon, I mean, Bad Company, my gosh, went on to have a slew of hits, especially in the 70s. Who are you playing with this weekend, and what are you most looking forward to in terms of the festival?
Well, I did a festival a few months ago in New York. And that was the first time that Mark Lapidos had ever invited me. So I'm playing with a bunch of, a great band. We have a great house band. I'm also doing a duet with Peter Asher, World Without Love. And I've known Peter on and off for years. And I'm really looking forward to that because, I mean, it's an honor to play with him because he's such an amazing producer. And there are various luminaries coming and going, telling their stories about how the Beatles influenced them. There's Jim McCarty, great drummer from the Yardbirds, another Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. And we met in the elevator last night. He said, "Welcome to the club." And I was, yeah.
Well, Simon Kirk, we really
So we had a bit of a...
We just so appreciate you joining us this morning, and you are a legend in your own right. We would be honored if you would take it away and just play a little music for us. Do a little drum solo at 9:56 in the morning.
All right, here we go.
Simon Kirk, we love it. Happy Friday to you. We'll see you right after the break.